Yes, welcome back, Vibe by Water TV. So listen, today we're going to get into a review, Beyonce Renaissance. So listen, let me tell you the truth here. You see the thing, my relationship with Beyonce is, obviously I'm of an age demographic where I come up on, Destiny's Child, and then her solo, Dangerous in Love or Crazy in Love, and then obviously her solo material that was to follow up from that, all the way up to, Who Runs the World, and then, Halo, these type of songs here, collaborations with Lady Gaga, all of that stuff, all the way up to Lemonade, and then when she done the Coachella, all of that. But in the spirit of honesty, I had never actually sat down and press play on a Beyonce album. It was always a case of, in the groups you're with, or the girls you associate when you're coming up in school, and just, around the way and whatnot, you hear the vibration, you hear the music constantly, obviously huge, mega platinum, double platinum, maybe even fucking diamond singles and stuff like that. Obviously in the era of where we used to also, watch music channels as well, she was in heavy rotation whenever one of her albums would come out. So, it's not to say that I'm brand new to Beyonce, of course I'm not, her first album especially, I'm pretty sure I probably do know it, from the start to the end, just where I've heard the singles around the way and I've heard people playing the album. But as I say, in terms of sitting down and pressing that button, this was the first time. Someone who's near and dear to me actually told me, listen to this album, because this is gonna be up your street, and the type of sounds you like, the things you say you like in terms of in certain sections of music, Beyonce's brought it. So, check it out. And yeah, we sat together and we did. And that album's phenomenal. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not a person to come out here and be talking about how first listen album's classic and this and that. I'm not that person. You need to understand that. But what I heard on that first listen was just everything that I asked for, in terms of cool, if it's not going to be this, maybe it is a concept album and I ain't figured it out, but if it's not going to be this mega kind of, detailed concept where there's going to be a theme that's being weaved throughout all of the songs from start to end, and interludes and all this type of stuff, if it's not going to be that type of album, then make sure it just has the core elements. And when I say core elements, I mean, depending obviously on the genre, but whoever that artist is doing their part to the best of their ability, whether that's singing at a high level, rapping at a high level, mumbling at a high level. It needs to be at the top echelons, in terms of what you do and what you should be bringing to the table. And I feel like Beyonce brought that. The musicality was just very, very surprising. I'm not gonna lie, because there was bits where I was like, "Ooh, this even sounds like it's MJ and Quincy Jones inspired from the Bad or the Thriller days," and then there's certain instrumentation where it's definitely a nod to the 90s type of sounds, even on some of the drum patterns. I'm like, nah, that sounds like an old school drum pattern. That doesn't sound like something that's been crafted, in the today for the today's type of crowd, if that makes sense. Beat selections and then the transitions between the songs, it was just flawless. And the artist that did show up, I think on Energy, I want to say that artist is called Beam. This would have been the first time I've actually heard of them, but very good performance. Grace Jones graced us with a Grace Jones performance, doing what she does. An absolute legend in this game. And that track was very, very good. I think the Dream did the Virgo's Groove beat, potentially. And that was very surprising, because I was like, wow, I wonder who made this, because this just sounds like, colours, man. You know what I mean? So I was very, 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 very surprised that it was this good. Not to say I didn't think Beyonce could make a great album. I know she can make great albums. She's a fantastic artist. She's the pinnacle, you know what I mean? But as I say, for me, I like what I like. And I just always felt with Beyonce, obviously there is the mass hysteria aspect of it. So you can someone like me can get a little bit put off of that, because you're people just overhyping this woman, those sort of things. But I think she's 40 now, or maybe 41, and it just shows, man. It's just graceful. You know what I mean? Like she's mastered. In my opinion, I would imagine she's mastered getting the right people around her to create that idea that she wants to put forward and sticking to it and making sure it's laser focused and zoomed in, where this is the idea, we need to execute this idea, there's no deviation. Like I can tell she's very militant in that aspect because it comes through in the music. People of course are going to want to work with her because she is who she is, so she's going to be able to get the top writers, the top musicians, the top producers. And without looking at all of the production credits, I feel like, the Dream's on there. Pharrell's probably, I think, scattered through there. So, like, you know what I mean? It's high level. And her performance, as I say, is always just going to be stellar. I've noticed that, where there was some sort of dance type beats, and there was quite a few dance beats and quite a few, like groove beats, let's call it, disco time, you smell me, chic and that, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't know about chic, go and do your research, but you know about chic, you definitely do. But anyhow, but I felt like she wasn't just, taking the easy route on these songs. Like, she was actually making sure she was in her vocal tone and in her vocal delivery, she was making sure she was adding to it, you know what I mean, adding certain layers to the music. It wasn't just that the music's playing and she's just going over the top doing like some loose type of singing, you know what I mean? She was making sure she was actually adding a finality to the song and making sure it comes alive. Yeah, man. And I think I've listened to it 2 times now, or maybe 1 or 3 quarters. I don't know if I got to the end on the last listen that I had, but both times it just went seamlessly through. The very first time I listened to it, I couldn't even believe it because that track 1. What's track 1?
3 hours later.
Yeah, track 1, I'm That Girl. So I imagine that's come on now, and I'm hearing it for the first time, and I feel like I was maybe 30 seconds into that song, and I was like, wait, like, where are we? Like, do we just press play in the middle, or because it wasn't very much, and I can understand if people don't particularly like that song, because I feel like that wasn't a soft intro. I feel like that just came in, and once we was there, we was there. So I can imagine that could throw people off a little bit. So that was a good track though. Like, I really enjoyed that. Alien Superstar, I think, was a good song as well. I enjoyed that one. Energy, of course, huge. That's a hit, man. Energy, hey, come on, that's a hit. And I know Khalees has been, grumbling in the public eye about how she wasn't, contacted, liaised with, consulted on that particular song. But listen, like, I hear it. I hear your argument. You have a relationship with Beyonce. You feel like she should have, shouted you, basically, just to let you know, like, listen, this is what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like, be expecting. You know what I mean? And obviously on the Pharrell side of things, it's a case of like, you already got bad blood with my man because, in the past, how he done the business to get your rights and stuff was a bit shady, supposedly. So I get it, but listen, hold the L because the tune is banging, and like, listen, just hold it. See here, even Skrillex was even a part of that tune. So yeah, you know what I mean? That's a tough tune. That's a tough tune. And that transitions beautifully into Break My Soul. And obviously she had released Break My Soul. I had heard it. And I enjoyed it when I heard it, but it was like, I don't know if there was added, sometimes on album cuts, or when it's on the album, they add like additional instrumentation or additional elements to the song to make it, just bigger for the album. I don't know if I'm right, but I do feel like that may have happened here because there was parts on it where I was like, ooh, Break My Soul. Okay, yeah, all right. I'm hearing this differently. And there's additional, Break My Soul was actually the one produced by The Dream, yeah. But yeah, I was just like, wow, it sounds like there's additional, oh shit, so he produced Energy and Virgo's Group. Okay, he was about. Big up The Dream. Yeah. But yeah, no, I feel like, yeah, there was just something new. And I feel like the transition from Energy into Break My Soul, it just was so seamless and it felt so right that it just elevated break my soul just automatically, innit? So really enjoyed that. Virgo's Groove that was a very, very groovy ass tune. I was fucking with that heavy. And then the Grace Jones and Thames Move, that was really, really good. Listen, I listened to it from 1 through, well, how many tracks is it? 16. That's an hour plus. And it was just seamless. It just happened. And the best way I described it, how I described the album, it was almost like being on a roller coaster, but you can't necessarily see. You know them ones where you go to like a theme park or whatever, and you're about to go on a roller coaster. Let's say you're waiting in line per se, and like you can see the structure of the ride that you're about to go on. So you can see the turns, you can see the bits where people are screaming, you can see where it goes upside down. You know what I mean? I felt like this was that without standing in line, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? You got the fast track and you had the blindfold on when people were looking at the structure, so I couldn't see the structure. But the album itself, 1 through 16, it was just like being on a roller coaster. And it was like, not to say, it's not the scariest roller coaster you've ever been on, but it's just one, you know those roller coasters that are not particularly scary, but they're just fun. You just enjoy it, it's exciting. And I just feel like that's what was happening. I was just like going up and down and up and down. She's taking me this way, that way, this way, that way. Like there's parts where she's rapping, and then there's parts where she's singing, and then there's parts where she's in a full dance bang and she just, you know what I mean, riding the whatever the rhythm is and just, you know what I mean, jumping in certain pockets and then coming out and letting the music breathe. Yeah, listen, it's a phenomenal album, man. I can't lie. Phenomenal. Like, as I say, rapping, singing, like everything. Spoken word in parts, like, or not spoken word, but like, you know, talking over the track in certain parts, bragging, like popping her collar, letting people know, like, listen, I'm the shit, like, and this is what one of my big, as I say, like, feelings was, like, it's not to say that she can't do it, and she shouldn't be doing it. Do whatever you feel is best for you, but I feel like she's already had that part of her career where she has to do the big grand ballad, or you know, the Halo style tune, or If I Was a Boy style tune. Like, I don't know if they're even good examples, but I just mean in terms of, like, you know what I mean, having a song where you're showing your full vocal capabilities, and you know what I mean, this is the dark room and there's the one spotlight on you and everyone's teary eyes, and you know what I mean, like you've done that, you've and I don't want to say you surpassed that, but you've done that. Like, that's a part of your arsenal, that's a big part of your arsenal. But you know what I mean, you can just have some fun, like, you know what I mean, jump on a thing, have some fun, talk that talk, and still bring all the elements of you that you possess, but just do something a little bit different. I know she's kind of flirted with this sound in past albums and on past music, but as a project, this is a daring step. This is a daring step, and I don't imagine everyone's gonna love this album. I feel like there is gonna be certain people where they're gonna be like, this is not really what I came for. You know what I mean? This isn't what I expected, and this ain't what I came for. So they may be turned off, and especially if you're not into dance music in this way, or you don't appreciate like this type of groove. You know what I mean? Because it's, you know what I mean, it's for a select few. You know what I mean? Sometimes. So I feel like for those listeners, like, they may be put off of it, or it might just take a few more listens, and it might be further down the line that they'd be like, oh, you know what, like, I'm getting into this, and then it really hits them. So it seems like, you know what I mean, in this time period, everyone's going for that kind of, that dance style album, which is kind of, is interesting. You know what I mean, we had Drake did whatever he did. Beyonce's obviously done this. The Weeknd came with the type of album that he came with. So obviously, I've heard some grumblings of, you know, I mean, a few people have said, or someone has said to me that, you know, this was Beyonce doing a better version of what The Weeknd was trying to do on Dawn FM. I don't quite agree with that, but I do feel like Beyonce just has, you know what I mean, she has that slightly greater star quality where, like, it's hard to argue that type of point, because it's like, it's fucking Beyonce, do you know what I'm saying? So I'm hearing through the grapevine that this is a first part to a 3-part concept. There's going to be Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So I'll wait to see what happens on those two. As I say, this is my first listen through a whole Beyonce album. myself in this fashion. And yeah, man, this was a phenomenal album. I was really, really, really impressed. Minimal features, you know what I mean? It's pretty much her doing, obviously, of course, she's got, you know what I mean, the back end or the background support, let's say. But in terms of artist features, there's only 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them. So it's heavily her, and she was carrying it, she was delivering, you know what I mean? And I was just very, very, very pleased with the sounds and the vibration and what she gave me. I feel like she gave us enough content to, you know what I mean, there was little liners, one-liners in there, you know what I mean? Must be your money because it ain't your face or something like that. Where it's like, that's personal enough without me having to have a whole song where you're talking about your personal life. And do you know what I mean? Like I'm alright to just pick up the streams of personal take that might come out, you know what I mean? It might just be one line, might be a little section here, it might even be a little one verse. That's enough for me. And I like it, man. It was fairly, what I would say, light-hearted. It wasn't too serious, but it's a renaissance, isn't it? Just to let you know that I can come back and just steal and grab your summer by the neck like this and have you in a chokehold and say, listen, you are not getting out until I let you breathe, type of thing. You know what I mean? I'm hearing this is her first album since she dropped Lemonade in 2016. So damn, this was overdue. You know what I mean? You guys were waiting longer than we was waiting for Kendrick. So yeah, man, like, of course I know she had I think she did the Carters in between there, which would have been 19 or 18. But in terms of solo project, this is her first one in a little while. And yeah, man, delivered. In my opinion, delivered. Very much delivered. And I'm eagerly anticipating pressing play on this again and dissecting it and enjoying it even more. So yeah, man, big up Beyonce. This is Vibe by Water TV. Come back for another one. And yeah, man, we out.